The galaxy was quiet but not safe. People thought peace would last forever. They were wrong. Far from the center of the galaxy, a terrible enemy returned. The Vraks came without warning. Machines mixed with living things, moving like a storm. In 1 week, they destroyed 3 star systems. Planets burned. Ships vanished. No one knew where the Vraks came from. The coalition of allied species tried to fight, but their ships were too weak. Their weapons failed. Fear spread faster than the enemy. On the planet Thalos Prime, the leaders knew they had little time. They sent out an SOS to the galaxy. Please help us. We are under attack. We cannot hold for long. They did not expect anyone to come. Most of the galaxy was afraid. Everyone thought humans would ignore the message too. Humans were different. They came from a death world called Earth. Their planet had fire, ice, storms, and beasts that could kill in seconds. Humans grew strong in that world, tough, brave. Some called them monsters. Others called them the last hope. Commander Jacob Barnes read the SOS while sitting on a cold metal bench aboard his ship. He was quiet, staring at the words. His officers waited. They knew what he would say. Get the fleet ready. We're going to Thalos. There was no vote, no debate, no talk of fear. Orders moved fast. Across the orbiting stations, human warships turned toward the edge of space. Giant engines lit up. Soldiers ran to their stations. Fighters were loaded. Robots checked weapons. Pilots smiled. It took only 2 days. The fleet left Earth's space like a hammer thrown from the sky. Thalos Prime was dying. Black smoke covered the skies. Fires burned in the cities. The Vraks had broken the outer defenses. People were fleeing underground. The alien leaders on Thalos were scared. They had asked for help, not war. They hoped someone would send food. Maybe doctors. They did not expect what came next. A shadow covered the planet. The sky above turned dark. Hundreds of human ships arrived in perfect lines. Not small ones, big ones. Carriers, dreadnoughts, warships with names like Iron Fist, Liberty One, and Hammerfall. The Vraks turned their sensors upward. They paused. This was not the kind of help they had seen before. On the ground, Captain Leah Morgan stepped out of a landing ship. She wore black armor. Her face was calm. She was not afraid. She was ready. Governor Coral of Thalos Prime, a thin bird-like being, came forward. His feathers were burnt, his eyes were tired. We didn't ask for this. We needed help, not an army. Leah looked around at the broken buildings. You asked for help. This is what we do. She walked past him. Behind her came soldiers, quiet, focused. They began setting up defense towers. Robots placed mines. Engineers fixed broken power lines. Human medics helped the wounded. No one rested. The next day, scouts moved out. They mapped the city ruins. They checked every tunnel. Drones flew above and marked enemy movement. There was no waiting. The humans were building something. A wall of steel and fire. Private Kevin Brooks had never left Earth before. He was young, only 23. His hands shook a little as he checked his rifle. He stood near the western wall, watching the horizon. Next to him was Sergeant Laura Green. She had fought in the ice storms of Alaska and the deserts of Mars. She looked at Kevin. First time? He nodded. She smiled a little. Good. That means you still care. But listen, these things out there, they're fast and mean, but they bleed like anything else. Just aim and shoot. We hold this wall, no matter what. Kevin breathed in slowly. He felt better with her beside him. In orbit, Commander Barnes watched from the command deck. His ship was large, with a clear view of the planet. The other commanders waited for his word. He didn't speak much, just pointed at the map. Hold the cities. Destroy their forward scouts. Keep civilians safe. We're not here to survive. We're here to win. Back on Thalos, the first signs came at night. A low rumble shook the ground. Creatures with sharp legs and glowing red eyes moved through the forests. Flying machines scanned the air. The Vraks were coming. Soldiers tightened their grips. Guns were loaded. Shields were raised. Leah Morgan stood on the roof of a command tower. Her voice came through every soldier's helmet. They are coming, but we are here first. They will not pass. Far in the distance, lights appeared. Bright flashes. The sky was turning red. Then without warning, the ground shook as the first wave of Vraks reached the outer walls. Their bodies were made of metal and flesh. They moved fast and without fear. They climbed over rubble, tore through broken fences and roared as they charged. But the humans were ready. Private Kevin Brooks held his breath as he aimed his rifle. A large Vraks beast jumped over a wall. Kevin fired 3 times. The creature fell, sparks flying from its side. He looked around. More Vraks came. Hundreds. Sergeant Laura Green shouted from behind him, "Steady, don't waste shots, aim for the joints." Gunfire echoed across the city. Human weapons were strong. Lasers burned through armor. Missiles exploded in the streets. Drones flew above, dropping bombs on the biggest enemies. The air smelled like smoke and heat. The sky was full of light and noise. Captain Leah Morgan moved between units. Her armor was scratched, but she kept walking. Her voice stayed calm. "Keep the line. Don't break. We hold here." Near the eastern wall, a Vraks tank broke through. It was tall and slow, with legs like trees and a cannon on its back. A human team ran forward. They carried a heavy launcher. One of them, Corporal Diana Lane, stopped in the open. "Cover me," she said. 2 others fired their rifles as she aimed. The missile hit the tank in its side. It exploded with a loud crack. The team cheered, but more Vraks came from the shadows. In orbit, Commander Jacob Barnes watched the battle through a large screen. His face was still. His officers gave updates. "West wall is holding. East wall needs support. Vraks are using new patterns." Barnes nodded. "Send in the reserves." 4 troop ships dropped from orbit. They hit the ground with force. New soldiers rushed into the fight. Heavy walkers followed behind, their cannons shaking the ground. The Thalos leaders watched from their shelters. Governor Corrill spoke with his advisors. "They fight like fire. I have never seen anything like this. We would have fallen already without them." His science officer, a tall insect-like creature, agreed. "They are not like us. They do not wait. They do not fear." Back at the wall, Kevin kept firing. His arms were tired. His helmet was cracked, but he did not stop. Laura Green stood beside him. "You're doing good, Brooks. Just stay alive." "I will. I promise." Then the ground near them opened. A tunnel. A group of Vraks crawlers poured out. Kevin turned and fired, but there were too many. A grenade flew past him and exploded. He fell to the ground, ears ringing. Laura pulled him up. "Move. Fall back to the second line." They ran as other soldiers filled the gap. Leah Morgan arrived with a squad. "Seal that tunnel. Use plasma charges." One engineer set the charges. A loud boom followed. The tunnel collapsed. Dust filled the air. Night turned into morning. The sky was dark with smoke. Bodies of machines and humans lay scattered. But the walls still stood. In a small room under the command tower, Leah met with her officers. They looked tired but ready. A map showed red zones and enemy movement. Leah pointed. "They came from here and here, but they keep testing this week." "Point." Lieutenant Adam Pierce nodded. "They want to break us." Leah looked at him. "They won't. Not today." She stood and walked back outside. Her soldiers saw her and stood taller. Her presence gave them strength. Far above, in the command ship, Barnes sent a message back to Earth. "Thalos is still standing. We have taken heavy losses, but the enemy is learning, so are we. Send more drones and supplies, we are not leaving." On the edge of the battlefield, the Vraks pulled back. Their leaders watched. They had never faced humans before. They did not understand why the humans kept fighting. Most species gave up. But not these ones. One Vraks commander sent a signal. New tactic: dig deeper, surround them, break their minds. The Vraks began to change their plans. They had more to learn, but so did the humans, and they were ready. Kevin sat near a wall drinking water. Laura sat beside him. "You held your ground, Brooks. That matters." He smiled weakly. "I just did what you said." She nodded. That's how we win. One soldier at a time. The sun rose slowly over Thalos Prime. The city was broken, but not lost. The humans were still there, waiting. 2 weeks passed after the battle. The skies over Thalos Prime were no longer red. Smoke was gone. People came out of hiding. Cities were quiet, but full of life again. Humans and Thalos citizens worked together. They cleaned the streets and fixed buildings. They shared food and water. For the first time in a long while, there was peace. Kevin Brooks helped carry supplies to a clinic. He smiled at a young alien child who handed him a small flower. He put it in his pocket. Laura Green walked beside him. "You're getting soft," she said. "Maybe," Kevin said. "Or maybe I'm just tired of war." Leah Morgan watched her soldiers rest for the first time. Some sat under trees. Others cleaned their armor or shared stories. She walked through the camp and nodded at each one. They had fought hard. They had earned their rest. Alan Grant stood near the ruins of the old control tower. He was looking at the sky. A drone flew near him. "You sure you're okay staying here?" Leah asked. Alan nodded. "This is where I belong now. I want to help rebuild. I've been sleeping for too long." Commander Barnes sent a message from orbit. The fleet was preparing to leave. Other planets had called for help. The war with the Vrax was not over. It had just begun. "We will leave in 3 days," Barnes said. "But we'll leave some troops here. Thalos Prime is important. We can't lose it." At night, the stars were bright. Kevin sat alone near the edge of the camp. He looked at the sky and thought about Earth. He missed home, but he knew he had changed. He was not the same young man who had left. A sound came from the trees. Kevin stood up. He raised his weapon. Laura appeared beside him. She had heard it too. "Movement," she said. They called in a scout team. Drones flew out. They found something strange, a small group of Vrax, but they were not attacking. They were running from something. Leah watched the video. "They're afraid. What could scare them?" Alan spoke up. "Not what. Who?" He showed them old records. A group called the Black Claws. Humans who had left Earth long ago. They were part of a failed mission, lost in space, forgotten. But Alan believed they had survived. They were trained for deep war, he said. No rules, no mercy. They were not part of Earth's army. They followed their own path. If they are here, we need to find them. A new mission began. Leah, Kevin, Laura, and Alan joined a team of scouts. They traveled across burned fields and broken hills. They followed signs left behind, marks on rocks, strange symbols. After 2 days, they found an old ship. It was hidden in a canyon, broken but still dangerous. They moved slowly. No sudden moves, Leah said. They entered the ship. It was dark. The air was heavy. They found weapons, old, powerful, and human-made. Then they heard a voice. "You don't belong here." A man stepped out of the shadows. He wore black armor. His face was covered in scars. His eyes were cold. "I'm Commander Nash," he said. "Leader of the Black Claws." Leah stepped forward. "We're here to talk, not to fight." Nash laughed. "Talk? The galaxy forgot us. Earth left us. We don't trust anyone." Alan raised his hand. "I was one of you. I remember what we believed. But this war is bigger than old anger. We need each other." Nash stared at him. "You're still alive? I thought you died." Alan stepped closer. "I slept, now I'm awake, and I'm ready to fight again." Nash looked at his men, then back at Leah. "You saved Thalos Prime. That means something. Maybe we can help, but we do things our way." Leah nodded. "Fine, but we stand together. No games. No tricks." The Black Claws agreed. They would help fight the Vrax. They would not join the army, but they would protect Thalos. Back at the base, some humans were unsure. They didn't trust the Black Claws. Their ways were rough. Their rules were none. But Leah spoke to her people. We need every hand. The Vraks don't care who we are, they only want us dead, so we stand together or fall alone. The next day, scouts returned with news. A large Vraks fleet was coming. Bigger than before, stronger, smarter. They learned from their loss, Barnes said. This time they won't stop. Leah looked at her map. She drew a line across the valley. We make our stand here. They want Thalos, they'll have to take it from us. The soldiers got ready again, old wounds still healing, but hands steady, hearts stronger. They were no longer just a rescue force. They were defenders now. The Black Claws joined them on the line. Kevin looked at one of them, a woman with a scar across her cheek. You really think we can win? She smiled. We've already won. We're still here. Laura placed a hand on Kevin's shoulder. Stay sharp, this is not over yet. And in the dark sky above, the enemy fleet arrived. Lights filled the heavens. The final battle for Thalos was about to. The third day began with silence. No attacks. No movement. The humans did not trust the quiet. On Earth, silence before battle was a warning. On Thalos, it was the same. Leah Morgan walked the wall, checking her soldiers. Their faces were tired, but their eyes were sharp. Stay alert, she said. They're planning something. Kevin Brooks stood at his post again. His hands were steady now. He had faced fear and survived. Laura Green checked his gear. You ready for more? He nodded. Yes, Sergeant. Drones flew out early. They scanned the city and nearby fields. At first, they saw nothing. Then, far to the south, they found something strange. Empty buildings. Vraks, bodies torn apart, signs of a fight, but no humans had been there. Leah looked at the drone feed. Who did this? Back at the command ship, Commander Barnes studied the same images. He zoomed in on the broken machines. These were Vraks weapons, but they were not destroyed by us. They were ripped apart. Lieutenant Miller frowned. Another enemy? Or a wild force? Barnes shook his head. Or something else. Send scouts. A team was chosen, fast and light. They flew out in 2 small ships. One pilot was Dana Clark. She had flown in space battles before, but never on a planet like Thalos. The ground below looked dead, but she kept flying. Stay low, she said. No fast moves. The team landed near the ruins. They moved slowly. The buildings were black and broken. Strange marks were on the walls. Deep claw marks. Not Vraks. One scout, Paul, looked around. Whatever did this was big. Another voice came over the radio. Captain Morgan, we found something. A signal. It's human. Leah leaned forward. Say that again. It's a human signal. Very old. Deep in a bunker. We're going in. The scouts moved down into a hidden door. Lights flickered. The air was dry. Machines inside were dusty. In the center, a pod was glowing. It's a stasis pod, Dana said. One person inside. The pod opened. A man stepped out. He was tall, strong, and confused. Name's Alan Grant, he said. Where am I? Dana stared. You're on Thalos Prime. What year do you think it is? Alan looked at her. It was 2231. Earth was at war. Dana blinked. It's 2305. That was 74 years ago. Back at base, Alan was brought to Leah. He explained what had happened. His unit had been testing a new weapon. The Vraks attacked their site. Everyone died except him. He had gone into stasis, waiting for help. Leah looked at him closely. You fought the Vraks? Alan nodded. Yes, I studied them. I know how they think. They don't fear death, but they fear something worse. What? Loss. They don't like to lose control. If you break their leader chains, they fall into chaos. Leah smiled. Then that's what we'll do. The next mission began at night. Alan joined the team. He wore old armor but moved like a soldier. Kevin and Laura were there too. They rode in a stealth ship toward a Vraks base. Their goal was clear: destroy the control node. The base was huge. Towers rose like claws. Lights moved in circles. The humans landed far away and walked in darkness. Alan led them. This way, their control room is deep inside. Guards patrolled the gates. The team waited, then moved. Silent and fast. One by one, they passed the walls. Inside, they planted charges. Alan found the main server. This controls their command chain. Once we blow this, the rest will fall apart. The team set the timer. 12 minutes. Suddenly, alarm sounded. They had been seen. Vrack's troops swarmed the halls. "Move!" Laura shouted. They fought through metal corridors. Kevin shot one attacker from behind. Alan threw a grenade into a cluster of enemies. The blast shook the base. The team reached the exit with seconds left. As they flew away, the charges exploded. A fireball rose into the sky. The Vrack's base crumbled. Back at the wall, human soldiers watched as enemy ranks broke. Vrack's creatures turned on each other. Orders failed. Confusion spread. Leah stood tall. "They're falling apart. Push forward. No mercy." The humans left the wall and charged. Fighters flew overhead. Tanks rolled through the rubble. Laser fire filled the streets. The humans pushed the enemy back. In orbit, Barnes gave a final order. Drop the full strike. Clean sweep. From space, heavy bombs fell. They struck the Vrack centers one by one. Flames rose. Smoke covered the skies. The Vracks had lost control. By morning, the city was quiet again. Real quiet this time. No movement. No attacks. Just silence. Kevin sat on a broken wall. He looked. At the sunrise, is it over? Laura sat beside him. For now. Leah and Alan stood near the main gate. He looked at her. You fight well. Your people have changed. She smiled. No, we've always been this way. You just forgot. Thalos was still standing. The enemy was broken, and the Deathworlders had done what no one else could. They did not just survive. They fought back. The final day began with silence. No wind, no birds. Even the machines were quiet. Everyone stood ready. On the edge of the valley, human soldiers, Thalos guards, and Black Claws waited side by side. They looked at the sky, where the enemy would come. Kevin Brooks checked his weapon again. His hands were steady now. Laura Green stood next to him. She looked calm, but her eyes were sharp. Today's the day, she said. Kevin nodded. Let's make it count. Commander Leah Morgan stood in front of her troops. Her voice came through the helmet speakers. You have trained. You have fought. You have survived. Now the real test comes. The Vracks are fast. They are strong. But they do not have what we have. We fight for each other. For the people behind us, for every life on this planet, in orbit. Commander Barnes stood on the bridge of his flagship. The enemy ships were coming. Big ones. Thousands. Like black waves in space. His crew was ready. Launch fighters. Form defense lines. We hold this sky. No one gets past. Human ships moved like arrows, fast and hard. Fighters flew in tight groups. Lasers flashed. Missiles burned through the dark. The Vrack's fleet pushed forward. Cold and silent. On the ground, the first enemy wave reached the valley. Crawlers and beasts charged. Drones flew above, firing, but the wall of fire held. Guns roared. Explosions lit the field. Kevin fired again and again. His shoulders ached, but he did not stop. Laura moved beside him, picking targets, staying low. Reload, she said. He did quickly and fired again. One Vrack's beast jumped the wall. A Black Claw soldier caught it mid-air with a heavy blade. Blood sprayed. The soldier nodded at Kevin and kept moving. Leah moved through the lines, checking on squads, giving orders. She saw fear in some eyes, but also strength. These were not the same people who had landed weeks ago. They were warriors now. The enemy pushed harder. More crawlers. Flying machines. Strange creatures with sharp legs and glowing eyes. But the wall did not break. Alan Grant stood with a group of engineers. They worked to power a special weapon. It was old, built before Earth's last war. A pulse cannon. Ready? He asked. Almost, one of them said. The Vracks moved closer. Alan gave the Order, the cannon fired. A wave of blue light hit the field. Machines dropped. Crawlers twitched and fell. Cheers broke out. The enemy line pulled back, but not for long. Commander Barnes sent a message. They're sending their main ship. Brace for impact. From orbit, a huge Vrax vessel began to fall. Not crashing, landing. It was larger than a city. It had weapons no one had seen before. Leah called for full retreat to the second line. Kevin, Laura, and the others pulled back fast. The giant ship landed with a heavy shock. The ground cracked, smoke rose. The enemy came again, this time with more power. They had walkers, massive machines with legs like towers. They fired beams that cut through stone. Human lines shook. Leah gave new orders. Hit their legs, trip them, aim for weak spots. Black Claws used explosives. Laura led a team under one walker. They placed charges and ran. The blast brought it down. The ground shook again. Kevin looked around. The line was bending. They needed more help. Then a message came. From orbit. Reinforcements arrived. Earth Command sent more. New ships jumped into orbit. More fighters, more carriers. The sky lit up. Hope returned. Commander Barnes smiled. Let's finish this. On the ground, dropships brought fresh troops. Tanks rolled out. New weapons were set. The defenders pushed forward again. Leah joined the front. She fired a launcher at a Vrax beast. It fell. She kept moving. Kevin and Laura followed. Alan brought more charges. Black Claws covered the flanks. The giant enemy ship opened. A new creature stepped out, tall, thin, with a metal crown. The Vrax leader. It spoke with a voice that shook the air. You cannot win, this world will fall. Leah faced it. Then come and take it. The leader moved fast. Leah fought with skill and fury. The battle was close. Others joined her. Kevin fired shots at the leader. Laura threw a grenade. Alan hit it with a shock blast. The creature screamed. Leah used her blade. One strike, then another. The Vrax leader fell, silence again. Then the enemy began to break. Machines shut down, crawlers stopped. The big ship tried to rise, but Barnes ordered a full strike. Missiles hit it from all sides. It exploded in the sky. The battle was over. People cried. They hugged. They laughed. Thalos Prime was safe. Later, Leah stood with Kevin, Laura, Alan, and Nash from the Black Claws. They looked at the valley, now quiet. We held the line, Kevin said. More than that, Laura added. We changed everything. Nash looked at Leah. If you ever need us again, just call. Alan smiled. This is just the start. Leah nodded. The galaxy asked for help. We sent a fleet, and we gave them hope. And far above, the stars watched in silence. A new story had begun. One written by Deathworlders, not in fear, but in fire. Weeks passed after the final battle. The smoke cleared. The fires died. People came out of the shelters. The sky was blue again over Thalos Prime. Birds returned to the trees. Water ran clean through the rivers. Life was coming back. Kevin Brooks sat on a small hill near the old battlefield. His armor was off. He wore simple clothes now. He watched children run across the grass, laughing. It made him smile. Laura Green joined him. She carried 2 cups of warm tea. She gave one to Kevin. Feels like a different world, she said. It is, Kevin answered. We helped make it that way. Down in the city, buildings were being rebuilt. Engineers and workers from Earth worked with the Thalos people. They shared tools, stories, and food. The smell of fresh bread filled the air. Laughter echoed in the streets. Captain Leah Morgan walked through the central plaza. She wore her uniform, but the weapons were gone. Children ran to her. One gave her a flower. She smiled and placed it in her pocket. Governor Coral stood beside her. He looked much stronger now. His feathers had grown back. He was happy. You gave us more than safety, he said. You gave us a future. That's what we came for, Leah said. Not just to fight, but to build. In orbit, Commander Jacob Barnes stood on the deck of his ship. Many vessels were leaving. Some returned to Earth, some stayed. They had a job to finish. New stations were being built above Thalos, not for war, but for trade, science, and peace. Alan Grant and his engineering team stayed to help. They showed the Thalos people how to use Earth's tools. They learned from the Thalos too. Their tech was different, smarter in some ways. Alan was excited to study more. The Black Claws also remained. Nash worked with young soldiers from Thalos. He taught them how to fight, but also when not to. He told them war was not the goal. Protection was. A large ceremony was held in the valley. Flags were raised. Words were spoken in many languages. Leah stood in front of the crowd. "We came because we heard your cry. We came not to rule, but to stand beside you. The war is over, but the work is not. The galaxy is still dangerous, but now it knows this. When the call goes out, Deathworlders answer." Cheers filled the air. Kevin clapped. Laura smiled. Alan waved to the crowd. Even Commander Barnes sent a short message from orbit. "Proud of you all." That night, lights filled the sky. Not explosions, but fireworks. Colors danced above the city. People danced in the streets, music played. Soldiers and civilians sat together, eating and laughing. Leah sat with her team. She looked at each of them. "You were brave. You stood when it was hard. I'm proud to serve with you." Kevin raised his glass. To Thalos, to Earth, to friends. They all drank. It was a simple moment, a human one. Later, alone on the wall, Leah looked at the stars. She thought about the battles, the losses, and the hope that followed. She knew more calls would come, more fights. But she also knew they would answer. Because that's what Deathworlders do. Far beyond Thalos, on other worlds, people heard what happened. Stories spread. Some feared, some cheered. But one thing was sure. The galaxy had changed. It now knew Earth, and it would never. The journey back from Velmora gave the crew of Dawnfire time to rest, but their rest did not last long. A new message had come through. Another planet had called for help. This time, it was Solari, a world far from Earth, barely known to most. But the message was clear. The planet was under attack. They needed help fast. Commander Leah Morgan stood at the head of the meeting room. Her voice was calm, but firm. "We leave in 12 hours. Guardian 1 will lead the fleet. We will not wait for more data. Every minute counts." Kevin, Laura, and Alan listened carefully. They all remembered the fear and pain of Thalos Prime and Velmora. They knew what was coming. "We have trained for this," Leah continued. "We have learned from the last battles. This time, we will be ready." On Guardian 1, the mood was focused. Engineers worked on shields, pilots ran flight drills, soldiers checked weapons and armor. The crew knew the risk, but they also knew their duty. As they neared Solari, the planet came into view. Fires lit. The dark side. Signals were weak. It was clear the enemy had already done great damage. "What do we know about them?" Kevin asked. Barnes replied from the main console. "They're called the Drawl. Not much data. They don't talk. They destroy." The dropships launched quickly. Kevin and Laura landed near a small village on the edge of a forest. The village was in ruins. Smoke rose from homes. Only a few people had survived. Alan arrived with a team to help the injured. He set up a field clinic inside a broken school. Laura found a child hiding in the wreckage. She picked him up gently. "You're safe now," she said. "We're here." The child looked at her with wide eyes. He had not spoken in days. Leah met with the local leaders of Solari. They had been fighting with old tools and little support. "We never expected help." One elder said, "We thought we were alone." "You're not alone," Leah told him. "We came and we will stay." The Drawl attacked again that night. Kevin and Laura fought in the narrow streets. Alan and his team pulled people to safety. The Drawl moved, fast like shadows, but the humans were ready. One of the Drawl machines broke through the main square. Laura climbed to the roof of a building and took it down with a rocket. Kevin cleared the street so others could pass. "Hold the line," Leah shouted over the comms. "Push them back." The fight lasted all night. By morning, the town still stood. Barely, but it stood. Alan worked to restore power. He used scrap parts and help from local workers. Soon, lights came on in the clinic, a small sign of hope. In space, Barnes and the fleet held the orbit. They destroyed Draal ships before they could land. One ship tried to break through. Guardian 1 took the hit but held strong. Leah called a meeting. "We've saved this town, but the fight isn't over. The Draal have a base in the mountains. If we don't take it, they will return." Kevin stood. "Then we hit them first." The plan was set. A small strike team would go into the mountains. Kevin, Laura, Alan, and others joined the mission. They moved at night, using the forest to hide their path. The mountain base was large, made of black metal and strange machines. The Draal did not speak. They did not show fear. But they were not ready for Deathworlders. Alan hacked the doors while Laura kept watch. Kevin led the team inside. The base was filled with strange lights and sounds. They moved quickly, placing charges in clearing rooms. At the center of the base, they found something unexpected. A machine, large and pulsing, sending signals into space. "This isn't just war," Alan said. "They're calling someone." "Or something," Laura added. They destroyed the machine and pulled back. The base exploded behind them as they ran down the mountain. With the Draal base gone, the enemy began to fall apart. Their attacks slowed. More people were saved. Leah sent teams to every town. The Guardian fleet brought supplies. Kevin and Laura stood in the village square. People were starting to rebuild. Children ran through the streets again. "We stopped them," Laura said. Kevin nodded. "But we have to stay ready. This won't be the last call." The stars above Solari shined brighter that night. Fires were out. The sounds of battle were gone. The people sang songs of peace. On Guardian 1, Leah looked out at the stars. "Another world saved," she said. Barnes replied, "and another one waiting." In the distance, a new signal blinked on the screen. Weak, but there. Another call, another fight. Kevin joined them on the bridge. "We don't stop," Leah smiled. "No, we keep going, because we're Deathworlders, and when the call comes, we don't just send help." Barnes gave the command. "Prepare the fleet." Guardian 1 turned to the stars. The fleet followed. Behind them, Solari stood free. Ahead, another world waited, and the Deathworlders answered.